Could the stress of our modern lives make it difficult for us to be ourselves? The short answer is yes. Oftentimes, the stressors that come with this modern life, that come with this technology, can often make it difficult for us to be ourselves. One of the very basic ways of expressing ourselves is to be our real and true selves. Technology can be a wonderful thing, and it's a big part of our lives. It can be used in so many great ways. We are able to connect with the entire planet, with people that other generations would never have an opportunity to connect with in this way. We can exchange ideas and information. We can talk. We can see each other, all thanks to wonderful technological advances. But these technological advances come at a price. Our ability to connect with others, things like social media, can sometimes make it difficult for us to keep up with everybody else. There is so much pressure on everybody, regardless of age group, to keep up with the Joneses, if you will. You probably already know the pressures that kids feel, peer pressure on being something that others expect them to be. This is true for teenagers even more so. Being a certain way, dressing a certain way, acting a certain way, having certain brands and things and habits and going certain places. But that's not limited to kids. This is something that's real for everybody. So when you look at how we connect across technology, especially through social media, you can see how much pressure there is for us, for everybody, to be something that we are potentially not, to present a certain look, to present a certain image, to present a certain way of life, certain experiences, things that we own, places that we go, that may or may not be true. The bottom line is that, generally speaking, if we are focused on everybody else and what is expected, and we try to keep up with everybody else, we often fall short. Or if we manage to keep up, it doesn't take long before we are exhausted. This is why it's so important to talk about this. Again, technology can be wonderful, and it has been wonderful, but it has a different side to it, depending on how we use it, depending on what we do with it. If we allow social pressures, peer pressures, to dictate how we live, who we are, how we look, what we do, then we are adding unnecessary stressors into our lives. And while it's true that every generation throughout history, our ancestors, no matter what time in history we examine, have had their share of stressors and issues that they've had to deal with. That's normal. That's part of being alive. That's part of being human. And while some stresses remain the same across history, others will change. Since technology is relatively new in the grand scheme of human history, it's important to examine how technology may be contributing to stressing us out. As wonderful as technology can be, we wouldn't be having this exchange if it wasn't for technology. It's important to recognize that technology has the potential to add stressors into our lives. So as we are inundated with marketing and images and social media that demand that we are a certain way, that we look a certain way, that we dress a certain way, that we buy certain products, that we have certain brands, it's important to go back to examine who we really are and to honor who we are. It's so important to be yourself. Look, it's okay to enjoy things and certain brands and certain looks. That should be your choice. That's the key. As long as you're doing something because it's your choice, rather than because you feel pressured to do it, or you feel like you're less than if you don't follow the crowd, that's when the problems come in. So it's so important to remember how critical it is to be ourselves. And we are each unique. We are each a gift. We each have our own unique talents. That's what makes this species so special and so precious. It's a shame to think that we need to be the same. We need to be like a stamp, like a cookie cutter of one another. We should be unique. We should not be afraid to be ourselves. To paraphrase Angelo Patri, nobody is as miserable as he who tries to be somebody or something other than what he is in his mind and his body. What does that mean? That means that when we focus on trying to be something we're not, trying to be like others, or trying to fit into a certain image or a certain mold that is projected or presented by others, we're not true to ourselves and we're miserable. We're just creating more stress for ourselves in our lives. The powerful reach of media, social media, and any other kind of information exchange that we enjoy in today's day and age thanks to technology also contributes to a certain level of demands of how we should act. Keeping up with the Joneses is such a hard thing to do, especially if you don't want to be the Joneses, if that's not who you really are. Emerson once said in one of his essays that there's a time in every man's life, every man's education, when he realizes that envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide, that every man must accept himself for who and what he is. And of course, that's simply the language. The meaning applies to men and women alike. What Emerson is telling us is that whenever we lose track of what's real and try to be like others, try to imitate them, try to be someone we're not or something we're not, that's essentially suicide to our true self. And we see so much pressure to be something which is often not who we are in today's day and age. This is why I wanted to make this video on the topic of being who we are and being true to ourselves, because we live in a world where we are exposed to so much information and to so many other people through things like media and social media. And there's so much marketing that comes at us every single day that we can get lost in it. It can be easy to forget that we are who we are, not who we are told to be, or at least we shouldn't be. So the takeaway here, the lesson with this video, is to prioritize finding out who we are. Prioritize to find out who you are. Who are you really? What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your preferences? What are your own thoughts and opinions? Never mind what you've been told on the news or on some show or on social media or wherever you might get bits of information. Never mind all that. It's your own opinion that needs to come first, that needs to take first place when it comes to identifying who you are, and then make peace with who you are. Accept yourself for who you are. And listen, if you don't like some things about yourself, that's okay. You wouldn't be the first one and you won't be the last one. That's why it's so wonderful that we can work on changing ourselves, and we absolutely can change ourselves. So work on who you are. Look at who you are. Change things if you truly feel that they need to be changed. But beyond that, embrace who you are and don't worry about being someone you're not, being something you're not, keeping up with the Joneses, being like a celebrity or a certain peer group. In the end, all that does is put extra stress on you. And there's enough stressors in this world. We don't need social stresses that demand that we be someone we're not. So I invite you to make peace with yourself. First and foremost, figure out who you are. Get to know yourself. Do you know who you are? Maybe you can engage your friends and family to give you your feedback. But at the end of it all, you have to figure out for yourself who you are. Some feedback can be good, but don't rely on it to form your opinion or to make the final decision. The bottom line is get to know who you are. Figure out who you are. If there are things that you want to change, that's fine, work on it. But be okay with you. You are unique. You are special. You are part of the tapestry that makes up this wonderful species of humanity. Imagine if we were all the same, there would be no tapestry. It would just be one blob that looks the same, completely uniform throughout. What a shame that would be. Embrace who you are. Don't worry about who everybody else is or who they want you to be or keeping up with the Joneses or having the latest and the greatest in terms of marketing. I invite you to be yourself. It starts with you. Embrace who you are. And by doing that, you will shed so much of the stressors that come with modern life and social demands.